Welcome, everyone, to episode number 84 of Talkin Kentucky. My name is Coleman Scott. His name is Caden Holmes, and it's been a minute since I've been on here, at least. Last time I was on here was 2 weeks ago when we had Allie Stumbler on the show, and lots happened since then, to say the least. So we got some good and we got some bad to get to tonight for sure. But Caden, how are you doing over there?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Yeah, me and Jonathan and Cody kind of fell down the fort while you were out. You know, I got their takes on the current state of Kentucky basketball, and that was before the South Carolina game, unfortunately. But
yeah, the last time we were on here, or that you guys were on here, we were sort of talking about Big Z just becoming eligible. And it seems like there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since that moment. Since Big
at
Z
that point, that was Thursday. We didn't even know he was eligible until that Saturday.
Right.
So we had no clue even at that point. So that was a good surprise.
The question was, is Big Z ever going to play? Is he? I think I remember that putting that in the episode description, which we've had a little bit of a delay putting that episode up. So tonight, after we finish this episode up on podcast, we're going to be putting not only this episode but also that episode too. Yeah. We had to do a little bit of editing on that, and that's okay.
We're going to get the twofer tonight.
We're going to get the twofer. You're going to get your double dip. You're going to get your daily dose back to back, as we like to say, of Talking Kentucky. So look for both episodes, episode 83. And episode 84. What did you end up naming episode 83, by the way? I don't even know.
I think it was Talking to Do, maybe.
That would make sense. That's somebody else. I'm wondering if he's ever going to be back, right? And we're hearing rumblings. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but was he supposed to be back tomorrow? That's kind of what I'm hearing, Caden. We might have our full roster for the first time this year. Tomorrow
on January 27th of 2024. Yeah.
I mean, you think about that for a minute, right? It's pretty crazy that tomorrow might actually be the time that we have our full roster for this Kentucky basketball team tomorrow. Not too surprising with how we know how Cal's sort of rosters go, with some of these weird things that happen with injuries and quote unquote injuries, and NBA people and Shaden Sharp and all that kind of thing. So.
When's the last time we've had a full roster at any point in the season? I bet you'd have to go back a few years. And I'm not saying that just at talking about Kentucky basketball. I think across college basketball in general, it's a huge problem right now.
I feel like that's a good question. I feel like that's a Corey Price question, actually. And I feel like we need to reach out to Corey, get him on the show. He needs to call in or something. And we need to say, Corey, when is the last time that Kentucky had its full roster, full healthy roster ready to go? Because did we ever last year? Was there a single game last year that we had our entire roster? I don't know that there is, because we had Severe was out for so long, right? I mean, he was out pretty much the second half of the season. So I don't know.
Yeah, and everyone kind of took their share at getting hurt at some point in the season.
Yeah.
Was Kaysen out a few games? I can't remember.
Kaysen was out of a few games. And, offensively, I was thinking about this the other day, because how did we have any offense really at all last year, but especially when Kaysen was out? How did we have any kind of offense? How did we score?
It was get the ball to Oscar.
How do we score any points at all without Kaysen on the floor? I mean, I love Oscar to death. Guy couldn't shoot to save his life unless it was a layup or a dunk. Oscar wasn't scoring. So, he got more rebounds than he got baskets, it seems like. So
that's true.
So I don't know. Don't know about that. But where do we start tonight? I think we need to go in chronological order here. So maybe we'll start with the good. Right, so you were on with Cody and Jonathan last week, and you guys were talking about probably, I assume, since the name of the episode was Talking to Do, how good Adu Thiero is and how important he is to the team.
Yep.
Okay, so that checks out, right? But then we were talking about, is Big Z ever going to play? And it had sort of gotten to the point for me that it's like I'd lost all hope. I was
we said Bradshaw was going to be the only big man to play this year. I remember us saying that.
Yeah, and we were even skeptical.
We're wrong, Coleman. Yeah. How about that?
Hey, I'm happy to be wrong. Listen, I'm more than happy to be wrong in this instance. But yeah, I do like having him back is certainly going to be great. But like these big guys, you talked about at the beginning of the year, we really thought we would only have Bradshaw, and that would only be if we were lucky, right? Is that if we had Bradshaw, right? So the fact that Ugana came back, let's just start with that. That was a shocker to me because I had heard from a lot of people that he was going to be out for the whole year. And, a lot of people ask the question, how good is Adu Thiero? How good is he actually? How big of a difference is he actually going to make? I think he's made a big difference, Caden. I think it's been very valuable for us, especially, defensively to have him.
Physically, just going out there, doing the dirty work. I saw a video and someone was comparing him to Dominique Hawkins, like that kind of role. And I can see it.
Yeah.
I think he does a lot more, scoring wise than Dominique Hawkins could do. But I see that. Maybe like the Michael K. Gilchrist role, kind of do the dirty work, be physical, play defense kind of thing.
Absolutely. The dirty work, right? Like Justin Edwards it needs to do, like you said, which we need to get into that too. Justin Edwards needs to do anything at this point. It kind of feels like. But then Big Z was a real shock because I was sort of at the point where I was like, even if Big Z gets cleared by the NCAA, Cal's not going to play him. He's in this ramp up period, quote unquote, there's only 12 games left in the season. He's certainly not going to play him when we get to conference, tournament play and stuff like that. So I'd really lost all hope that Big Z was ever going to play. Then we learned just hours before the game on Saturday that he's eligible, right? Yeah.
And Cal said, I might play him 5 minutes. I might play him 10 minutes. I think he ended up playing him like 12 minutes.
Yeah, I saw in that video. He walked. Did you see that video the Kentucky men's basketball page posted of Cal pregame in the locker room? Yeah. He was like, all right, everybody, I'd like to welcome Z to Rupp Arena.
Yeah, like he's never been in there before.
Yeah, right. Surprised he didn't have food poisoning or something the other night. Yeah. But I'd like to welcome Z to Rupp Arena. He said, I might play him 5 minutes, I might play him 10 minutes, I might not play him. We'll see.
Wait, food poisoning?
You remember all that at the beginning of the year, how we were saying that's the reason Big Z wasn't playing? Because he had food poisoning?
I feel like people have come up with so much stuff, I get lost in it.
Yeah.
For example, it's been all right, he's got growing pains. No, he's got back spasms. No, it's NIL. Or no, he's just mad that he's not starting anymore. There's so many rumors that are going around.
Well, that's one reason why I was convinced that he wasn't playing, because I was like, he's going to fall into this Ennis Cantor, Shaden Sharp, Jared Vanderbilt category of all this crap going on. But then he gets eligible. I was traveling back. I was out of town, so I was driving back to Baton Rouge when he got eligible. I checked my phone when I get back. It says Big Z's eligible. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I don't know if he's ever going to play. And then I turn on the game. I don't get home until the game after the game started. I turn on the game. Big Z has the ball in the corner, getting ready to shoot a three. And all I can see, I can't see his face. He's in the corner. I can only see number 44. And I'm thinking, who's number 44? Like I was just drawing a blank. I was like, Reed's not number 44. Like who is that out there? Is Kyle Wilcher on the team again? He changed his number or something.
Luke Kosh Orbzut, wasn't he 44?
I think he may have been. Josh is the real expert here in the comments of what Kentucky guys have worn what number over the years. So maybe Josh can tell us. Dan Issel.
It's the number 44. Yeah.
That's right. But maybe Josh can come up with some others there. But that was the moment that he hit his fourth three. And I saw the little stat pop up in the corner. Zvonimir Ivsvik, 4 from 4 from 3-point. And I said out loud, I was like, he's hit 4 threes. I mean, for him to come out, and then I saw the highlights later of him doing the behind the back to Reeves and the blocks and everything else. I mean, you can't. It was truly one of the most amazing things I've seen in the history of Kentucky basketball, for somebody to just get cleared hours before the game and come in and have that kind of performance. I mean, he was looking like freaking Tayshaun Prince out there.
Can you imagine being a UK fan going to that game? Like, you think you're just going there just for a normal, UK game. Then a couple hours later, Big Z is eligible. And that completely changes everything. Those tickets would have been a lot higher if they knew that beforehand.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's what I was saying. I was like kind of iffy on if I was really even interested in watching the game, because I was like, yeah, it's Georgia, like it's at home. We're probably gonna win. Who cares? And that was sort of the start of like, man, Kentucky basketball is back. Everybody better watch out. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
I think your dad
hopes and dreams were crushed.
Well, I'm getting to that. But your dad commented something like, I can't remember. I saw a post that he made. Man, if we had Big Z, we'd be undefeated right now.
Yeah.
And I absolutely felt that way too. I mean, that's what it felt like to me.
He felt like the second coming of Anthony Davis in that game.
He did. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember somebody that sat underneath the basket, like that and been able to block shots like that since Anthony Davis, to be honest with you. Then comes the bad. Yeah, then everything goes south. That game left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth because of our defense, right? I think we were up by, I believe the largest lead was 28 at one point, and then we end up only winning by 9. We're winning like 90-something to 60-something. And then the final score is like 105 to 96.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to like refresh my phone several times to make sure that was right, because how do you let Georgia cut a 28-point deficit to 9 that late in the game?
Poor lazy passes, bad decision making, the whole can't stay in front of our man thing. We couldn't buy a shot. So basically, everything that happened at South Carolina was what happened at the end of that game.
Well, I didn't watch the end of the Georgia game, and I didn't watch the South Carolina game because I was teaching. Again, another game I thought we would win, and I didn't really think it'd be that interesting of a game to watch anyway, so I wasn't too sad that I missed it. And then a halftime score as I'm teaching, ESPN, alert on my phone comes up. South Carolina at the halftime score, South Carolina, 50 or 60 something, whatever, to 40 something. And Kate, I kid you not, my first thought was, I didn't know the women were playing tonight. Because I was like, yeah, that makes sense. South Carolina women up 20 at halftime on our women.
I think it was 35-25. And the alarming thing is that Kentucky basketball had 25 points at the half, and they're used to having 60 by that point.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another reason I thought it was a women's game. So and then I remembered, oh wait, that's the men's. It's kind of like when I saw the Louisville score of when Louisville beat Miami at Miami. I was like, oh, the Louisville women beat Miami. I was like, there's no way that's possibly men's. So that was obviously the worst offensive performance that we've had all year. And that's honestly what's worried me and worried a lot of other people about this team is this team reminds me a lot of Alabama the past couple of years. When they're hitting threes, they're going to blow out everybody. Like, not just win, they're going to blow out at everybody. It's not even going to be close. But if they have a cold shooting night, they could get beat by anybody in the country. And that's exactly how I feel we are at this point.
Yeah, that game reminded me of just, those games like against Kansas State in the tournament where just nothing's working and they're hitting everything, or against West Virginia in 2010 in the tournament. Like, my worry is this is going to happen in like the third or fourth round of the tournament. And it's just going to be one of those all systems failure.
Yep, it is. It's the cold shooting. But I know our defense doesn't even have to be great. Like, if we're going to put up the offensive production that we're putting up, let's just say last night or the other night was an anomaly. If we just put up 70 or 80 points, we should be able to even against South Carolina still win that game as poorly as we played defensively. We cannot play this bad defensively. I mean, we cannot continue this. We've got to do something. We got to make some kind of adjustment, because we're not going to score 90 every single night, right? Most nights we might be able to with the shooting that we have on this team, but in the event that we go completely cold like we did the other night, I mean, we've got to be able to defend a little bit.
So the question is, how much 2-3 zone are we going to see tomorrow?
Well, we're not going to see any. That's for that.
Didn't
that's
he say
for
he's
sure.
going to play it?
I saw that quote, and I still don't believe we're going to see.
So you think
any.
it's going to be like 1 or 2 plays until they make a shot, or do you think it's going to be like half the game?
It'll be like when Brad Harvey got on here one night and said he played zone tonight. Did y'all see it? And I was at the game and I did not see it. No, it was. He may have played it for a possession or something like that. If he did. No, I don't think we're. And again, we talked about being wrong earlier. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope that he comes out and plays zone and changes. Because
I was wrong about the big man, and then I was also wrong about DJ Wagner.
Yep, right.
DJ Wagner is a completely different player right now than he was at the beginning of the season. So let's just keep being wrong, and I'm okay with that.
Let's keep being wrong, talking wrong. That's that. I'm all for it. Let's just keep being wrong. I'm fine with that. But it really, and I know we say this a lot, in every year we say, why didn't Cal play zone? Why didn't Cal play zone? But it really makes even more sense this year than other years, I feel like, because guess what? The biggest reason you wouldn't play zone is because you would get beat from 3. Guess what's happening? We're getting beat from 3. Like, that's when these small teams, when Wilmington beat us and when South Carolina beat us, I went back and watched some highlights. It's because we're leaving them open from 3, and they're getting those shots, and they're beating us off the dribble too, and getting buckets inside. So zone would stop that, right? Zone would eliminate any buckets they get under the basket. Throw Bradshaw and Big Z under there. Put some big men under the basket and just take away the layups, take away the jumpers, and force them to shoot threes. I think that's what we got to do.
I kind of like it when teams play zone against us. I feel like we do a decent job at beating the zone this year. One positive, Yep. We'll throw it in the very middle to like Trey Mitchell or something. He'll get like a jumper or, take it to the rim. So I think we do a good job at that. But I do think we defensively, we need to at least try it. I agree.
I think there's a couple of just sort of things that seem like coincidences that we need to address. It feels like when teams play us, they just have the whole team. It's not even 1 or 2 guys. It's like the whole team has the best shooting night of their life.
Oh, yeah. It's the guy that hasn't even hit a 3 since he's came out the womb kind of guy that'll hit one from 30 feet against us.
Yeah, but why is that? Like, what? I don't understand that, because you can't just, that's not motivation. You don't all of a sudden become Steph Curry just because you feel a little bit more motivated for the game. That doesn't have anything to do with motivation. Motivation's about, playing hard and sprinting to the basket and getting down low on defense and stuff. Those can have to do with motivation. But I don't understand how teams automatically just become, these lights out shooting teams just because they're playing Kentucky. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Coleman, when I was at UK, my trumpet quintet I was in, we didn't make second at NTC finals because of motivation. We didn't just play. We didn't just get there and, we can play the trumpet now. It's not how it works.
Well, Drew may have done that. But
Drew didn't. Yeah, well, Drew was used to not practicing. So
right. Yeah, Drew may have done that, but no, yeah, exactly right. So I don't understand that. And then the other side of it is, how come our team, when we go cold, like when one guy goes cold on our team, the whole team goes cold? Like, I feel like it never happens that like Reed has a bad night, or Reeves has a bad night, or Wagner has an off night, or Dillingham. It's like the whole team. Like all our shooters go cold at the same time. And that's a big problem, right? And why is that? Because I feel like if one or two of them go cold, it's fine because we still got 4 or 5 more that are going to bail us out. But it seems like every time one or two of them has gone cold, the rest of them have gone cold too. Like, is it a confidence thing? Is it a mental thing? Like, what is it?
I don't have an answer.
I don't either.
I do think Dillingham played decently. It's just that I feel like we didn't really get him the ball until 5 minutes left, whenever it didn't really matter, anyways. But
and the other thing,
I just sometimes it just happens. The same thing happened against Texas A&M. Really, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep.
It was a pretty high scoring game. We did better offensively, but
I went to 2 overtimes, right? So, I mean,
the
that's
issue
part
with
of the
that is
reason.
we couldn't stop that at all on defense. What's again defense? But UNC Wilmington, was it the same thing? I can't remember at this point.
The UNC Wilmington game reminded me a lot of the South Carolina game because they just were hitting every three, and I felt like we were leaving them open. They were hitting every shot, and then we went cold. And even in, I would say, the second overtime of Claude saying it went to 1 overtime. I could have sworn didn't it go to 2? Okay, and I thought it went to 2 overtimes, didn't it? Maybe it's just 1.
That's a good question. I don't remember.
It felt like 2. I'll just go ahead and give Clyde the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe it went to 1 overtime. Well, anyway, regardless, at the end of overtime, it felt like we went completely cold. Really, the entire overtime, I felt like we just went cold and nobody could hit anything. And that just can't happen when you have this amount of talent on the team.
A new
adventure. You get to get the ads in there. Yeah.
Golly, every time I click on anything on ESPN, he's right. It was just 1 overtime.
Okay, 1 overtime. But
we scored 3 points and they scored 8 points in overtime. And Coleman, that's a loss.
That'll do it. That'll do it. That's what I'm saying. The whole team can't go cold. Right? And that it feels like that happens every single time, and I don't really have an explanation for it. It just happens, and it can't. That's 2 things that cannot happen if we want to win a title.
I feel like shooting for us is just contagious. I mean,
yep, in both directions. Yeah,
and the same thing like South Carolina. It was contagious when those guys that had 1 or 2 on the entire season out of 30 just couldn't miss. So.
Yeah.
Wish Trumpet worked that way.
Yeah, wish it did too. Well, hey, if you're not in the Talkin Kentucky or fans of Talkin Kentucky group chat, then you're not a true super fan of ours. There does exist a group chat on Facebook Messenger for Talkin Kentucky fans. And I missed it. I haven't been in the chat for a while because, Josh Hart in the comments here says, "What's up, Coleman? Where you been?" Yeah, I know. I've kind of been off the grid, the past couple weeks or so, but I'm back. But
we got Jonathan Holmes in there now.
We do got Jonathan Holmes in there now. I know he's been a good
addition.
He's been a nice addition to the group. Yeah. In fact, I think Brad Harvey the other night said, "Show me a team in the past 5 years." That hasn't lost a game, or the past 5 to 10 years that hasn't lost a game that they were supposed to lose. And Jonathan's like 2012 Kentucky, 2017 Kentucky, 2015 Kentucky.
2010 Kentucky,
2010 Kentucky, yeah, all these. So I thought it was funny. Had an answer for him. So Caden pointed out a little video that Josh posted in our group. And Josh got me. I've watched it several times today. Josh got me hyped for the Arkansas game. He's like, "We're not losing to effing Arkansas," and he said 10 and F and 8 or something like that. Whatever the record is, or I think that's what it is. And yeah, Caden. I don't think we're gonna lose to Arkansas. I'm on the Josh hype train there.
They're bad.
But, they're pretty bad. But Caden, how are you feeling about it though? Like, I mean, that's a tough loss to come off of, and you're going on the road. It's Arkansas. as we've said, they're the most nude fans, as we've established before, right? So it's always a tough place to play. Pat Adams will probably be an official, like all these factors. Cal, has Cal ever not? That's another Corey Price stat. Has Cal ever not gotten thrown out at Arkansas? It feels like every time we go down there,
usually
he gets
Arkansas
ejected.
and South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Sometimes Auburn.
And he didn't get thrown out at South Carolina. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did he even get a technical? I don't know if he did. So
I don't think so. No. Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at Arkansas over here. They beat Lipscomb by 3 points. So if we struggle with Arkansas, well, we got real problems. I mean,
I already think we have real problems because we lost to UNC Wilmington. And I know the Georgia game wasn't a loss, but
they lost to UNC Greensboro, which usually is a tournament team at least. But
yeah, right. Wilmington isn't. But I know the Georgia. I know we won the Georgia game, but we put up 105 points and we needed every one of them. Like Georgia put up 96 on us. Like that's a problem, I think. I don't care if it was the end of the game. Like Georgia putting up 96 on you is not.
Aren't we ranked like 180th in defense or something like that?
That would check out.
There was a stat where the last 10 years a team hasn't won the championship by not being like the top 70 or something.
I mean that doesn't surprise me. And Caden, do you really think there's not going to be a game in the tournament that we're going to go cold? Because there is. We're going to.
We got to crack the top 100 to have a chance.
Yeah, we do. That's a start at least. But this team kind of reminds me in some ways, although I think this team was better than the current team defensively, of the John Wall DeMarcus Cousins team. I feel like when they went cold, we couldn't win. Right?
I felt like that team was always cold from three at least.
Yeah,
it wasn't a 3-point shooting team. That team needed Jody Meeks to stay. That's what that team needed.
If Jody Meeks was on that team, I think we win a title that year. Yeah. But I just think back to that Elite Eight West Virginia game. That was one of the worst shooting performances I have ever seen in my entire life, and I really think that's how this team reminds me of. But when they're great, they're great. But when they're bad, they're real bad. And I've never seen a team be so inconsistent. It's crazy. How can you put up 100 points and then the next game put up 60? Because think about it, that's what happened.
Yeah, South Carolina, their defense and physicality just slowed us down, and they were making us play in the half court for so long, and we just weren't moving the ball. And that's honestly credit to South Carolina, even though we were getting mugged and refs weren't calling anything.
Yeah.
That's besides the point. I mean, we were just holding on to the ball. A team that's used to getting, how many assists we usually get a game? At least 20, right?
Yeah, right. And we got like 4 or something, 3 or 4. I think.
Yeah, I think it was in the single digits. Seriously.
Oh, it was definitely in single digits. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's how you beat us. Is if you hold us to like, I think we had 3 or 4 3-pointers and then 5 or 6 assists, something like that. So yeah, that's going to equal a loss for us for sure. So they laid out a blueprint of how to beat us. But people are saying, well, you're not going to run into a team that's physical as South Carolina that often. Well, I think you will. It's
only going to take one.
It's only going to take one, and I mean. They don't have to be good, they don't have to be. They don't have to put up a ton of points.
That's what Kansas State did to us.
Yep,
it was in the 50s, 60s that game in the tournament that year.
If we don't score, if we don't break 80, because we've only gone 2 games this year without breaking 80, and it was South Carolina and UNC Wilmington. What happened most of those games? We lost. Right? If we don't, I think it's safe to say if we don't break 80 in a game, we're not winning. If the defense doesn't play any better, I think it's safe to say that.
Our lowest scoring win
was 81.
81-61. But
Yeah.
that's Texas A&M Commerce. How do we only put up 81 on Texas A&M Commerce?
I don't know. How do we only put up 62 on South Carolina? I mean,
we should have known this was a problem whenever Texas A&M Commerce scored 61 on us.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We should have.
We should have kept them to 30.
We probably should have. What was the Louisville final score while you're at it there? I'm just curious about
95-76.
We let Louisville put up 76 on us.
Yeah.
I don't think that
it's almost like every team we play, we help their average
offense
on the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's just we're usually putting up 100, so it doesn't really matter, until this last game.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll go ahead and take some calls here, I think. 502-234-1504. Caden, these headphones here, before I left for Christmas to go home, only one side of the headphones were working, and it was driving me nuts. I come back. They've been doing nothing but sitting on my desk. I come back, plug them in, both work now. I don't know how to explain.
That's how technology goes, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, you're the IT person, so you know how that goes. But they just start working all of a sudden. So I don't understand that. I'm glad they're working. It was wearing on me because I like wearing these headphones. Makes me feel like official. I like the AirPods too. Okay, but as you know, Caden, AirPods can really be scuffed. They disconnect. They'll start connecting to your whatever.
Yeah, depends how many Apple devices you got. Hey, we're getting a call.
Let's take it.
You're on with Talkin Kentucky. Who's this?
It's Clyde.
Hey, Clyde, how are you doing tonight?
Good. I just got back from a Bible study not too long ago. Feeling pretty good. Vented a lot about the world's problems in the Bible study tonight. It was a really good event, and I feel good. I feel good now.
Hey, what's your Bible study topic?
Bunch of different things. This is really my first time attending. We started doing it on Friday nights last week, but I didn't make it because of the weather. It was snowing, and then tonight we were reading in the book of Matthew.
Oh, there you go. Hey, what scripture was it in the book of Matthew?
It was like Matthew 12, or I think it was Matthew 14 through 21.
I'm blanking on what that. I'm good at knowing what's in the Bible, but not where it is. Caden, do you know what Matthew 12 is? You know what story that is?
He said Matthew 12, 14 to 21. I don't off the top of my head.
What give us the synopsis there, Clyde? Give us the breakdown.
I'm on the spot, Coleman.
I am. Yeah, he called in. That's what you're gonna get when you call in.
Well, I got my book somewhere.
He's gonna open it up and read it.
He's gonna open it up. Talking Bible study.
I got, but I don't it's all the way in my dining room, and I just put a pizza in the oven, so I just left.
That's a long way.
Here to call you guys.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, that's all right. Keep us updated.
Yeah, keep us updated. Send it in the group text later.
In the group chat, I'll keep y'all up to date in there for sure.
What do you got for us, Clyde?
Well, like you guys were saying, yes, and we are the worst defensive basketball team in the top 25. We are the worst defense in the top 25. Even KSR was talking about that, and I think sources say Jeff Pilgrim, when they were talking about that too. It's just, we have problems boxing out. We have trouble guarding the wing, 3-pointer, and we have trouble guarding the paint in general. And those are obviously things that can get fixed. But then again, you're like, well, we are scoring 90-something a game, except for against South Carolina. But other than that, we are scoring 90-something a game. So, does it really matter? It does because, in March, you're going to have to box out. You're going to have to guard the 3-point line. You're going to have to defend the paint with everything you have because these teams, they're going to, these lower seed, 13, 12 seeds. They're going to come in there. They're going to score in the paint, and they're going to shoot the
and
three.
we're not.
They play with nothing to lose.
We're not having 6 games in March where we scored 90. I don't believe it. There's going to be a couple where we're in the 60s, 70s, and have to win.
Right. I totally agree. I don't think no. No team. I don't think any team that's been in the tournament to go on and lose 6 games. I think maybe they only scored 90 twice or once, but it wasn't on a consistent basis in the tournament.
Agreed.
We got anything else?
Yeah. Do you have anything else for us? What are your thoughts on Arkansas?
It is on the road. Old Baldwin Arena. It's a very tough place to play. Arkansas is about to play like the 03 Lakers. I mean, like they have Shaq and Kobe on their team, and it's gonna be a tough fight in the first half. But I think we pulled through in the second half, and I think we handled them pretty good. And I'm gonna go with some of the KSR people. They had Dillingham as their MVP. It's a Rob Dillingham game. I think he's gonna go crazy. I really do. I think give me Dillingham for the player of the game. And my final score, I'm gonna go with 96 Kentucky, 73 Arkansas, and
all right,
Dillingham scoring 22 points.
I like that. 96-73. All right, Clyde. Dillingham. Thanks for calling in as always, and have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
502-234-1504. Give us a call. I like that Rob Dillingham player of the game prediction. I think that's a good one.
Go wrong with that one.
No.
I think we need to give the ball to him way more often. Don't you?
Man, I still think back to that Texas A&M. I think that Texas A&M game, man, if the ball was in his hands, at the end of the game, we win that game. You can't tell me that he wasn't going to go and hit the 4-3 in a row or something like that.
Well, he missed the 1-3, but the issue was Wagner turned it over right before that, and that's when I thought he was going to drain one.
I know, yeah, and he would have.
He was going to give it back to Dillingham.
Yeah, I think he would have. And everybody says, "Oh, it's a bad shot." Well, you would have liked it if he would have made it. you know, kind of thing. All the other 3 he made, those are all bad shots too. But guess what? He made them.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
That one Monk hit against North Carolina, terrible shot, but it went in.
You know what else was a terrible shot that went in? Aaron Harrison against Wisconsin. Actually, all 3 of them. Yeah, against Michigan. Who was the other one? It was Michigan, Wisconsin, and Louisville. It was Louisville too. Oh, okay. All right. Well, man, what are some other bad shots? The
one against Louisville was with 30 seconds left. It wasn't a buzzer beater, but it still counted. What
are some other bad shots that went in? I think Patrick Sparks against Michigan State, that one went in. It was definitely one of the ugliest shots I've ever seen, but at the same time, one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen.
John Wall airballing and Cousins putting it back in.
Yeah, there we go against Mississippi State. Yeah, that's right. Scott Solis's play a friggin' zone. Yes, Scott. Comment of the day. Hey, we need a monologue about playing a friggin' zone. That's what we need. I'm telling you, we need a Scott Solis call. I think that's what would right the ship for Kentucky basketball here. Claude says, yeah, in the SEC championship. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm going to put Claude's profile picture back up here on the screen. That's been one of my favorite things since Big Z made his debut, is this side by side with him with Michael Jordan, throwing his arms out. That's also the pose I did, Caden, when I made that 3. You
were kind of toxic with it. You did it right in front of the bench.
Yeah, I did it right in front of. So you just need me.
First 3 of your career, and then you're talking trash.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it banked in too, so that made it even worse. But yeah. So
you're saying it was lucky?
Yeah, probably was. But that's okay. I still made it. Again, ugly shot that went in. All that matters is it went in. Marsha Davis Wilson says, I got a question for you guys. We have 15 very talented players. Why do we not press a team when we played? We did in Canada and played well. Well, Marsha loves the press, Caden.
I don't think we ever have done well with the press, have we?
She's right, though. We did press in Canada, and it did work.
Yeah, but that's those Canadian teams. This ain't that.
Yeah, but that's Canadians.
That wasn't like playing South Carolina.
Like you said, that's those Canadian teams. It's like South Park with the Canadians at their heads like floating on top of their body.
I'm just saying that wasn't SEC basketball up there.
No.
I don't know. She says a zone will only slow us down.
I at this point it's drastic enough that I think we need to play zone. Like, I mean, we cannot stop teams. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I know playing a zone's not ideal, but you play a zone when you suck so bad defensively that you can't do anything else. It's kind of like the air raid offense. We invented the air raid. Mike Leach and Hal Mummy at Kentucky football invented the air raid offense because we were so bad that we had to invent a new way of playing so that we could have a chance to win. And that, I mean, I'm not saying that we don't have a chance to win. I'm saying that we have to really think outside of the box defensively with this team because I think, Caden, it's gotten that bad.
Yeah, put them in practice, tie the rope between their legs. You know,
Scott Solis is better than giving up wide open layups and threes. Yeah, that's especially the layups. If you play a zone, you take away a team's ability to beat you off the dribble and get to the basket. And that's what's been happening to us. Our on-ball defense has been awful. I mean, awful. And that is when you play a zone. When you can't stay in front of your man, that's when you play a zone. I mean, I learned that when I played upward basketball. Speaking of Matthew 12, we learned some scripture, played some zone. That's what we did, Caden.
Didn't Tubby play the zone pretty often?
I think he did. Did Tubby press? I know Patino was a big presser. Did Tubby press much? I'm trying to remember.
Isn't the extent of our press these days is basically our point guard guarding full court? Isn't that what Cal usually does? He tries to tire him down.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that plays to our advantage is that, like, we're more in shape, and that Cal's teams are always more in shape than the other side. We always have better athletes than the other side. So,
I've never seen Rob Dillingham tired.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like we can press, right? I mean, we can run with the other team. Now, if teams try to run with us, that's when it becomes a problem with them.
Yeah.
South Carolina tried to slow us down.
Yeah, I'm all for pressing. It just seems like maybe we just don't do it enough, and I've never really seen success with it from Cal's teams. But he's never liked it, you know.
Clyde says Trey Mitchell and Aaron Bradshaw today said the practice has been brutal the last couple of days. I bet it has been. But Kate, now I wonder if they're doing productive stuff, or if they're just doing like stupid blank, like Joe Crawford said on that Wildcat Sports Talk interview. If you guys haven't checked that out, that it's hilarious.
They're just doing suicides for like 3 hours.
Yeah, or something, which is pointless. He said, Gillespie, just tell me go harder. I'm going as hard as I can. He said, we getting ready to play Indiana, and we're just
then he passed out.
Stupid blank. Yeah. Yeah, then he passed. Then he just blacked out. Yeah, he didn't know what happened.
And then they lost Indiana.
Yeah, he said they just beat our ass. But Scott
says it must be true.
Cal said on a show that they implemented zone in practice, but we will see. Yeah, but the second half of that comment is exactly right. But we will see. Yeah, Cal says a lot of stuff, as we've learned over the years. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen.
I want it to be the majority of the game, Coleman. Let's just try it. I don't want to just get scored on once and switch back to man. I want it to be I want to see it for like a half.
They're going to hit a three.
Yeah.
And Cal's going to be like, see, they beat us from three. Yep. So hopefully not. But hey, we need another call in here. So 502-234-1504. Scott, Marsha, Josh, anybody else wants to call in, give us a shout. Give us your thoughts on the team. We'd love to hear from you. And tell us what you would do. we can all be couch coaches here and everything. That's fine. Caden, what's up with this fog? Have you not? It's in Kentucky too?
Is the government doing it, or is that the rumor?
That's the rumor. That's the conspiracy theory. Is that this fog is artificial fog from the government? It's Biden. Yeah, he's biding his time. No, yeah, I don't know. But I noticed it last night. I was driving down here in Louisiana, and I just saw this fog. I was like, it didn't even like look real. I was like, why is it foggy right now? Like it just kind of came out of nowhere.
They're supposedly trying to cover up those UFOs.
I know. Yeah, it's like they want us to see the sky. Yeah. So it's never really that. It's never this foggy down here. And then when I heard it's happening up in Kentucky too, I was like, huh. What's going on?
What's the chances of it happening? Of it happening in Baton Rouge and Hanson, Kentucky?
I'm not a meteorologist, but I think that's pretty fishy. Maybe there's a scientific explanation for this, but I don't think so. So but we'll see. But yeah, we'll keep the phone lines open. We won't go.
Pretty quiet right now.
Yeah, they're pretty quiet. Yeah, but we'll keep them open if anybody else wants to call in. 502 234-1504. Scott Solis says swamp gas.
Doesn't sound pleasant.
No, it doesn't. It does not. Marcia says it's in Indiana too. The fog's in Indiana too. She says they're under a warning in Indiana for fog.
Hey,
so
I'm just
Indiana
saying it smells bad, and I've had minor headaches from it.
I've had a headache too from it.
This ain't no regular fog.
This ain't your grandma's fog. It's Indiana.
Smog.
It could be. It's Indiana, Kentucky, Baton Rouge. I'm sure it's somewhere in between too. So yeah, it's something.
Yeah, Marsh, I was driving over the bridge into Indiana for rehearsal the other day, and I couldn't see the Ohio River. So foggy. So it was bad.
Hey, we hired a new offensive line coach. We fired our previous one, Zach Yenzer, because he just wasn't getting the job done. But then what's shocking that came out today was that we hired the previous one, Scott Warford, that I believe his name's Scott. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. I know his last name's Warford. Facts are optional on the show. His last name's Warford. That's all you got to need to know. But he left us for Alabama, and he left the line in a really bad spot because he didn't recruit depth like he should have. I mean, if you remember, Freddie Maggard was on our show last summer. He was talking about this. The other guy just wasn't getting it done. He didn't recruit the way he was supposed to. We go back and he's coming back to Kentucky from Alabama now that Saban's gone. Do we want somebody that just kind of stabbed us in the back like that, just left out of nowhere and left us in a bad position? And then with Cohen too, he's still looking at all these. He's looking at the Titans job. He was looking at the Bears OC job for a while. He's still thinking about it. Yeah, I mean the latest rumors are that he could go to the Titans. So
what's happening behind the scenes with Kentucky football that we're not seeing?
Something. Something went down with all that Texas A&M stuff. Still, I feel like. I mean, there's always stuff that happens behind the scenes, so who knows what's going on?
Yeah, we all thought he was legit leaving because that night it was confirmed.
Yeah, no, it was, and even Matt Jones put it out, and he said, "Well, there you go." And then when Matt puts it out, I mean, you think whatever you want to think about Matt, but when he puts something out, it's right. So, I know, but to have this guy back, and he was actively out recruiting for Alabama, telling people that he was going to Alabama while he was still our coach. And then we hire him back. It feels like you can get anybody else. I think he is the reason that our offensive line is in the shape that it's in right now. So yeah. Hey, Jessica Ladd Cook says, are there any other potential players in the NCAA like Big Z? Anyone else waiting for eligibility? I don't think so.
Sure
okay,
feels like he was the last.
It sure,
everyone else got eligible within 2 hours.
He was pretty late, and no, Caden, I feel like we are the team that waits the longest for all our players to get eligible. It seems like we're the only team that ever has that problem. Okay, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. Didn't someone say that they were like it's just the NCAA still trying to settle scores from their childhood or something? I heard someone say that. Just they don't like certain.
Oh, settle
people
score.
on our
Yeah, that's
staff.
funny. Well, I mean, that's what everybody thought when Big Z came out and, he starts hitting all these threes. I mean, I saw Tim Brandsetter, friend of the show, put out, now we know why the NCAA didn't want Big Z to be eligible because he's not human. Goes out there, hey, the NCAA didn't want us to win a title, Caden. That's why you're not eligible.
Cody texted the group right before that. He said, wouldn't it be funny if Big Z just went off tonight?
Yeah, what if Big Z just like absolutely goes off?
Then he texted me after about the third three, and he said, "I'm laughing so hard I'm crying."
How tall is Big? Is he 7'2"? Is that
7'2".
right? Is that how? Yeah,
he's a 7'2" Croatian.
What about that? I mean, the only dude that he hasn't had an eligibility issue, but the only other dude I can think of like Big Z is the kid from Purdue. And Marsha would know because she's a Purdue person. Yeah, Zach Edey.
And they tried to call him Big Z. You see that?
Yeah. No, that's not Big. No, works. We got the real Big Z.
We got Big Z. You all don't.
But Edey can't. I haven't seen Edey step back and shoot a three. Have you?
No.
Scott Salee said my jaw dropped seeing Big Z play like that. Yeah, I mean, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. I was like, man, he's 7'2" and he's stepping back and hitting threes. Speaking of Corey Price, did you see that stat he put out that Big Z is the tallest player in Kentucky history to hit a three? I thought that was kind of funny.
That,
yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, you don't see many 7-footers stepping back and hitting threes. I mean,
especially
I thought Bradshaw was.
I mean, this is the first year we've actually had tall guys who could shoot, really, other than maybe Wilcher.
Marcia says Edey can be contained. He fouled out against IU at Purdue. So yeah, I feel like when you're how tall is he? 7'6" or something like that.
Yeah, but it's like lose something to Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, so did we, but didn't they lose to them too?
No, we lost to UNC Wilmington, Caden. We didn't lose to Fairleigh Dickinson.
Or didn't they lose to Fairleigh Dickinson last year? In the tournament?
Kentucky? Oh, then yeah.
Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue did. Yeah. Well, Purdue lost to St. Peter's too, didn't they? To be fair. This is coming full circle. We all lose to St. Peter's. Yeah, didn't Purdue, am I crazy or did Purdue lose to St. Peter's? I think they did. Because St. Peter's beat us.
St. Peter's or Fairleigh Dickinson?
This is episode number 1 was Talking Peacocks. We talked about the St. Peter's game. Here we are, episode 84. We're still talking about St. Peter's. Edey is 7'4".
At this point, I get confused. Like St. Peter's and Fairleigh Dickinson kind of sounds like the same thing in my mind.
It's all the same thing. Yeah, if you're not in the SEC, yeah, you may as well be Fairleigh Dickinson. I think that Fairleigh Dickinson is the funniest name for a small team. Like it's funny to say like, oh, we're going to go to the tournament and we're going to lose to Fairleigh Dickinson, because it just, I don't know, it sounds funny.
Didn't you call that upset?
Yeah.
Didn't
I did.
I did. I did. Bracket?
In my bracket, I said, mark it down. Fairleigh Dickinson's going to beat Purdue, and y'all thought I was crazy, and then they went and did it. So, yeah, they made like the Elite Eight, didn't they? I thought Fairleigh Dickinson was going to make the Final Four for a minute, and I was just going to be. To be fair, our Final Four last year was like Iona, Kentucky, Alabama, and like Kent State, or something like that. So yeah, we didn't really have that much credibility.
We got to do that again this year.
Scott says if our defense comes up to a middle school level, we'll be all right. Well, Scott, a middle school would play zone, so I feel like that would be good if we could play some zone.
Sometimes our out of bound plays, like it truly, like we'll have a play. I love Dillingham like more than anyone, but there was one play I saw a replay and he just like looked the other way and got lost on that out of bounds play.
Again, I didn't watch the entire.
It's not just him, but
yeah. I didn't get to watch the entire South Carolina game. I only watched highlights, but one of the biggest complaints I've heard is that our out of bounds plays have always been bad. Don't get me wrong, offensively and defensively, but I heard especially the other night they were bad. Okay, is that true?
Real bad.
So what do we do? Do we just like throw it up in the air and hope somebody catches it? I mean, does nobody cut or set a pick? Anything? Talk about middle school basketball. That's what I learned in middle school basketball. That's in the education curriculum in Kentucky. So,
well, Marcia pretty much sums it up here. They couldn't get through their picks and got caught up. They're a bigger team than we were, a lot more aggressive. That's the thing. When they're setting hard, strong picks, it's like we just haven't figured out how to guard that.
Cal did say in his post game we were boys and they were men. So I mean that's right. So I feel like we can fix that though, right? Why can't we just be more physical? Why I thought Cal teams were supposed to be the gritty
bigger,
teams
faster,
that go bigger,
yeah.
faster, stronger. So
recruits.
Why has that been a problem the past few years? And we
have the capability. I think
that's the thing. They do have the capability, and South Carolina doesn't have a single NBA player on their team, and we have what 6, 7 at least. So yeah, and then Reeves are at least leading scorer at even one of those. According to Josh. So, and Scott read my mind. Scott read my mind here. I was getting ready to bring this up. I feel bad for Edwards, but he has to take a step back, hurting the team, unfortunately. Yeah, and I love Justin Edwards, and I feel bad for him for sure because I feel like he's trying. Yeah. But Caden, how many minutes did he get? Like against South Carolina, it was like 28 or something like that. It was 20 something minutes that he got against South Carolina. And when he's not giving you anything in return, I just don't understand at this point in the season with 12 games left why he's playing that much. Doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, and sorry, another ad.
There's the ESPN ads. One of these days, we're going to get some ads too. We'll be able to go to commercial.
They're like all over my screen, and I can never find where it's coming from. I was going to look up that for you.
I know you get on ESPN, and it just like there's these ads that just pop up in the corner.
You notice it's with everything now. And it's like okay, for the simple price of $3,000 a month, you can get rid of all those.
Yeah, I know $3,000. Yeah, you can get rid of the fog too for $3,000 a month. Yeah,
could.
That's what it's going to be. That's my prediction. That's conspiracy theories. The government put this fog in the sky, and they're going to charge us all a subscription to get rid of it. You want to see? All right, you pay us $8.99 a month without ads, $9.99 a month. So
are we talking about Justin Edwards?
Yeah, I think
I completely agree with you all, but I do also want to say I want him to stay another year. I'm afraid he's either still going to go to the draft or transfer. But it's okay to not, even if you were the number one small forward coming out of high school, it's okay to not figure it all out in your first year. Heck, Coleman, I got my master's and you got your doctorate in trumpet, and I didn't even figure it out in my master's. So
no,
it's okay to not go top 10 in the draft after your first year. I just hope he sticks around for a little bit because he's got potential out of this world.
Yeah, heck, our first year we were only number 23 in the nation with podcasts. Yeah, it's okay we didn't get top 10 first year. So
I don't even know if we were top 25 our second year.
I did see we broke the top 100 of sports for the month of I think it was December or January. We're number like 84, something like
According
that.
According to who?
Doesn't matter. Somebody.
Your mom or something?
No, what my mom? It was somebody else. It was an actual website, and we were. I
want to see the source of this.
I'll send it to you.
Verify.
We were just below cricket. There was a podcast about cricket, which I know nothing about. And I feel like, it's great to break into the top 100, but I am a little sad we didn't beat the cricket podcast. I feel like what we talk about is probably a little bit more interesting than that.
Do you know more about cricket or volleyball?
Now that we've interviewed Allie Stumler, I think volleyball.
Do you know what before that, yet?
No, I don't know what a kill is. I think a kill. It sounds pretty good. Yeah, I do know that Allie got the last kill in the in the championship
Didn't she
game,
get
and that's why we
26?
won. She got 26 kills, in the last one. It's funny. She was still like on our platform that we use for streaming. It's called StreamYard, and you can see everybody. Like you can click everybody on the screen and off of the screen,
Yeah,
so
she
we can
was
like
backstage.
we could see
you.
you. Yeah, we could see you if you're backstage. See your camera, and so she was still hanging out watching us, like drinking out of her Stanley or something. I assumed it was a Stanley. That every girl in America. It's actually a federal law that if you're a female in the United States, you have to have a Stanley. They just passed that legislation
with the fog bill.
With the fog, yeah, the Stanleys and the fog. But yeah, she was watching, and me and Kate were talking about. Yeah, I don't know what a kill is, and she was like cracking up, listening to. I thought she was going to stay and listen to us, not know anything about volleyball.
I don't know what it is, but it sounds good.
I was waiting for her to leave so that because I was embarrassed.
She'd come back in here and say what it is.
Yeah. Well, she couldn't come back in because she didn't have the ability
we'd have to do it.
Yeah. So,
Hey, Luka scored 73 tonight. Jeez, didn't Karl Anthony Towns just put up like 60? It's been some high scores in the NBA. I think Coleman just froze. Can you all still hear me? Okay, so y'all can still hear me. Yeah, I think Coleman's over there having some technical difficulties, but he'll probably be back in here in a minute. I just want to open up the phone lines one last time. Probably take last calls here. 502-234-1504. If you want to talk about the Cats playing Arkansas this weekend, or the loss against South Carolina, or the fog that we're talking about, like, is that a conspiracy or not? Let us know your thoughts. 502-234-1504. Scott Solis said he thinks he is playing tomorrow, March. I'm assuming you're talking about Thiero. Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying Thiero's hopefully going to be back in tomorrow. I think he practiced with the team this past week, so it'll be really good to see him back. Reed should be playing more over Edwards. I completely agree, Scott. I really hope Edwards can figure it out, and I really hope he does not transfer. Marshall was saying he thinks he's going to transfer, but I think a second-year Edwards would be huge for this team. So if he doesn't figure out this year, hopefully he sticks around another year. We're not getting any calls left, so if Coleman doesn't come back in here, I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for watching, and please like us on everything. Like us on Facebook, on X or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it. Give us a review, and then support us on Patreon if you get a chance. But thank you all for listening to episode number 84, and go Cats. Let's beat Arkansas tomorrow, and we will catch you next time.